Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari
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 Jaya Gopi Janavallabha Girivardhari
Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari
Jaya Gopi Janavallabha Girivardhari
Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari
Yashodanandana Praja Janaranjana
Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana
Yashodanandana Praja Janaranjana
Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana
Yamunatira Vanachari
Natira Vanachari
Yamunatira Vanachari
Yamunatira Vanachari
Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari
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 Jaya Gopi Janavallabha Girivardhari
Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari
Jaya Gopi Janavallabha Girivardhari
Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari
Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana
Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana
Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana
Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana
Yamunatira Vanachari
Yamunatira Vanachari
Yamunatira Vanachari
Yamunatira Vanachari
Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari
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 Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Prabhupada.
Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada.
Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada.
Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada.
Nitai Go Haribo, 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 Nitai Gora Haribo.
Nitai Gaura Haribo, 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 Nitai Gaura Haribo.
Yo Mr. Baparamhamsa Parvachakacharya Stotra Sudha Shri Sindhvange Sabhochana Bhaktani Swami Shila Prabhupada Ki Jai ISKCON Phanacharya Dvange Shila Prabhupada Ki Jai Yo Mr. Baparamhamsa Parvachakacharya Stotra Sudha Shri Sindhvange Shila Bhaktani Swami Shila Prabhupada Ki Jai Anand Kodi Vaishnavanda Ki Jai Namachara Shila Rasta Kor Ki Jai Prem Se Kosha Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadada Shri Gaura Bhaktavan Ki Jai Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopi Goswami Kunda Radha Kunda Giri Govardhan Ki Jai Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai Navadip Dham Ki Jai Mayapur Dham Ki Jai Ganga Maya Ki Jai Yamuna Maya Ki Jai Bhakti Devi Ki Jai Tulsi Devi Ki Jai Samaveta Bhaktavinda Ki Jai Nitai Gopamanande. All glories to some of the devotees, all glories to some of the devotees, all glories to some of the devotees, all glories of the Shri Guru and Shri Gauranga, all glories to the Prabhupada Ki Jai. Hare Krishna, welcome to our Nectar Devotion series, chapter 42. Let us repeat the invocation. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Let us repeat the wonderful glorification to the six Goswamis. Nana Shastra Vicharaneka Nipuno Saddharma Samstapako Lokanam Hitakarino Tribhuvane Manyo Sharanyakaro Radha Krishna Padaravinda Bhajana Nandena Mataliko Vande Rupa Sanatano Ruguyugo Sri Jiva Gopalako. Offer my respectful obeisances unto the six Goswamis, namely Sri Sanatan Goswami, Sri Rup Goswami, Sri Raghunath Bhatt Goswami, Sri Raghunath Das Goswami, Sri Jiva Goswami, and Sri Gopal Bhatta Goswami, who are very expert in scrutinizingly studying all the revealed scriptures with the aim of establishing eternal religious principles for the benefit of all human beings. Thus, they are honored all over three worlds, and they are worth taking shelter of because they absorb in the mood of the gopis and engage in the transcendental loving service of Radha and Krishna. So this chapter 42, very, very wonderful description given in this chapter by Srila Rupa Goswami and Srila Prabhupada's commentary on the Nectar of Devotion. Fraternal loving affairs. Krishna's friendly or devotees that have a friend relationship, Sakyaras, and different different ecstasies and exchanges that they have is described in this chapter. Krishna, he is Rasaraj, the embodiment of all rasas, and he can perfectly reciprocate with the desires of the pure living entity, the devotee of the Lord. The living entity, the pure soul, has an eternal relationship with the Supreme Lord, and some pure devotees of the Lord, they want to serve the Lord in friendship. And the Lord, who is Rasaraj, Krishna, he is perfectly able to reciprocate with their desire in a friendly or friendship relationship. We know that each type of relationship, there are 5 relationships, and each relationship application. What a friend will do, a servant will not do. The classic example is given of Hanuman. Hanuman has a dasya relationship, a servitorship relationship with Lord Ram. That is the perfection of his relationship. Whereas Subal has a friend relationship with Krishna. Now Subal, he as a friend can climb on Krishna's shoulders. He can wrestle with Krishna. Whereas whereas Hanuman will not wrestle with Lord Ramachandra. Hanuman will not jump on the Lord because of the different type of relationship. But each in their own right is perfect. In the spiritual world, everyone is perfect and perfectly situated, immaterial of their relationship, because each one is focused simply on pleasing Krishna. So Srila Rupa Goswami now discusses this chapter and the different vibhavas, udipans that arise friendship and the different symptoms that they experience. So the object which impels fraternal love. Krishna's age, his beauty, his bugle, his flute, his conch shell, and his pleasing attitude all provoke love in friendship for him. His exceptional joking abilities, exhibited sometimes by his pretending to be a royal prince or even the Supreme Personality of Godhead, also gives impetus to devotees developing love for Krishna in friendship. So in this chapter, Krishna's age is described. Krishna has 3 age periods: Komara, birth to 5 years of age, 5-year-old; then Poganda, 6 to 10 years of age; Keshor, 11 to the end of 15 years old. Srila Prabhupada says learned scholars have divided Krishna's age into 3 periods. The age up to 5 years is called Komara. The age from 6 to 10 years is called Poganda, and the age from 11 through 15 years is called Keshor. Komar ages up to 5 years. Srimad Bhagavatam 10, 13, 11 describes Krishna in his Komaram age, flute tucked in his belt, enjoying a festive picnic with his young boyfriends. Then from 6 to 10, Poganda. Krishna's Poganda age can be further subdivided into 3 periods, namely the beginning, Adya, middle, Madhya, and end, Shesha. So his Adya age, 6 to 7, the beauty of this age. In the beginning of the Poganda age, there is a very nice reddish luster on his lips. His abdomen is very thin, and on the neck are circles like those on a conch shell. Srila Rupa Goswami gives an example of how this beauty can impel ecstatic friendship. And he says, sometimes some outside visitors would return to Vrindavan to see Krishna. Upon seeing him again, would exclaim, "My dear Mukunda, your beauty is gradually increasing. Just like the leaf on a banyan tree, I am sure that your beautiful bodily developments is now giving much pleasure to your friends." So it's interesting that in Bhoma Vrindavan, Krishna, he appears apparently born, and then he grows from a baby. Krishna grows through all different ages up to Kishore, and he gives, Krishna is completely perfect. Every limb of Krishna, every part of Krishna's body is completely perfect. It is it's formed perfectly, and at every age, Krishna's beauty is increasing more and more and more. And those who are in love with Krishna are witnessing Krishna's growing up. So not only are they in love with Krishna, and that's endearing and attaching them to Krishna, but now Krishna is reciprocating with their love and giving them that opportunity to witness he's growing up as a child. Because in different ages, just like we find that for Mother Yashoda, bringing Krishna up, in a form of a baby is extremely, ecstatic for a mother. Whereas for the gopis, when Krishna is youthful, then that is the most ecstatic age. Dress of this age. At this age, Krishna was garlanded with various kinds of flowers. He used to put on a silk dress colored with various kinds of dye. And the activities of this age, sometimes he would wrestle there with his different friends, and sometimes they would all dance together in the forest. Srila Rupa Goswami gives an example of how these activities can impel ecstatic friendship. And the cowherd boy said, "Dear Krishna, when you pretend, just like an actor, to be fighting with us, you give us unlimited transcendental bliss." Then Madhya Pauganda, 8 to 9, the beauty of this age when Krishna is more grown up, in the middle of the age of Pauganda, his nails become finely sharp and his chubby cheeks become lustrous and round. On the two sides of his waist, above his belt, there are 3 distinct lines of folded skin called Trivali. The dress of this age, in this age, Krishna wore a silk dress that glittered like lightning. His head was decorated with a silk turban covered with golden lace, and in his hand he carried a stick about 56 inches long. Sri Rupa Goswami gives an example of how this dress can impel ecstatic friendship. One of Krishna's friends said, "My dear Krishna, just look at Krishna. My dear friend, just look at Krishna. See how he's carrying in his hand a stick which is bound up and down with golden rings. How his turban with golden lace is showing such a beautiful luster, and how his dress is giving his friends the highest transcendental pleasure." So everything of Krishna, Krishna himself, his personality, his transcendental body, the ornaments on Krishna's body, what Krishna is doing during this age, every aspect of Krishna is becoming an impetus, impelling, increasing, exciting Krishna's friends. Shesha Poganda, 10 years. The beauty of this age, at the end of Krishna's Poganda age, Krishna's hair sometimes hangs down to his hips, and sometimes it becomes scattered. In this age, his shoulders become higher and broader, and his face is always decorated with marks of tilak. When his beautiful hair scattered over his shoulders, it appears, with his beautiful hair scattered over his shoulders, it appears to be a goddess of fortune embracing him. And this embracing is highly relished by his friends. Srila Rupa Goswami gives an example of how this beautiful beauty can impel ecstatic friendship. My dear Keshava, all of your beautiful bodily features are defeating me today, although I am usually stronger than you or any of our friends. Since this is so, I do not know how these features of your body can fail to defeat the pride of the young girls of Vrindavan. When I am so defeated by this beauty, what chance is there for those who are naturally very simple and flexible? The activities of this age. The Sheshapa Gunda period borders directly upon Krishna's Keshore period, in which his pastimes with the gopis become prominent. Thus, one can see the drawings of Krishna's conjugal affairs within the activities of this age. At this age, Krishna took pleasure in whispering into the ears of his friends, and the subject of his talk was the beauty of the gopis, who were just tearing before them. Srila Rupa Goswami gives an example of how these activities can impel ecstatic friendship. Subal said, "My dear Krishna, you are very cunning. You can understand the thoughts of others. Therefore, I am whispering within your ears that all of these 5 gopis who are most beautiful have been attracted by your dress, and I believe Cupid has entrusted them with the responsibility of conquering you." So at different ages, Krishna's activities naturally change as Krishna grows through the different ages. Krishna's activities, Krishna's beauty, Krishna's relationship changes as he progresses through growing up. And naturally, the coward friends, the Gopas, they enjoy Krishna as he's growing up. Naturally, they're also growing up. So in this way, their subject and the activities changes with Krishna, and they still are becoming more and more endeared to Krishna in friend relationship. Keshore, 11 to 15 years of age. All the devotees in Vrindavan, servants, friends, parents, and consorts, find the age of Keshore to be the most pleasing of all. Therefore, Krishna never ages beyond Keshore. As such, there is no distinction of Krishna's Yovana given in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. Srila Prabhupada summarizes, and it is at this age that the devotees generally most appreciate Krishna. Krishna would rather one is worshipped as Kishore, Kishori. Krishna does not increase his age beyond this form of Kishore. So Krishna stays at this age, 15 years, eternally. In the spiritual world, Krishna is eternally this age. And when Krishna was here in Boma Vrindavan, then Krishna, even though he was 125 years on this planet, but he never aged more than 15 years. Krishna's beauty. After age, the next Udipan is beauty. Srila Rupa Goswami describes how coward boys appreciate Krishna's beauty. Quote, "Dear Krishna, you need not decorate your body with so many ornaments. Your transcendental features are themselves so beautiful that you do not require any ornamentation." So Krishna's age, as we heard Srila Rupa Goswami is describing, becomes the impetus for Krishna's devotees in Sakyaras, and now Krishna's beauty is described to become the impetus. Miscellaneous objects that Krishna has. Krishna's flute. Krishna's flute can impel fraternal love. Whenever Krishna begins to vibrate his flute early in the morning, all of his friends immediately get up from bed just to join him in going to the pasturing grounds. So you can imagine Krishna is at Nandamaja's house, at his home. The coward boys, naturally, after coming back yesterday from the association with Krishna in the pasturing grounds, they cannot but think of Krishna
they're meeting with Krishna the next day. So in this way, they not forgetful of Krishna. They don't go sleep like how we sleep in the material world. It's described that even as devotees, for example, a pujari may go rest, but the pujari is going to rest tonight with the excitement of meeting and serving the Lord, the deity, next morning. Similarly, the devotees in Vrindavan, when they going to rest, their mind, their consciousness is so excited about meeting Krishna tomorrow, because they feeling the separation of Krishna already and they want to meet Krishna. They're so excited, they can't sleep. And as soon as Krishna blows his flute early in the morning, their heart starts to palpitate. They're excited, they cannot wait and rush to be with Krishna again. An example, one of the friends once said, "My dear coward friends, the sound of Krishna's flute from above Govardhan hill is telling us that we need not go to search him out on the bank of Yamuna." Krishna's conch shell. Parvati, the wife of Lord Shiva, told her husband, "My dear Pancha Mukha, five-faced, just look at the Pandavas. After hearing the sound of Krishna's conch shell, known as Panchajanya, they have regained their strength and are just like lions." Then Krishna's humor. The story of Krishna dressing himself up just like Srimati Radhavani, just to create fun among his friends, is an illustration of how Krishna increases the fraternal devotion of his friends by doing various funny things. So you'll see Vrindavan is multifaceted. There is everything in Vrindavan. Whatever gives pleasure to people in this material world in terms of favorable activities, those same activities exist in Vrindavan in its perfect form in relation to Krishna. The reason they exist in this material world to give pleasure to the living entity is because they exist in their originality in the spiritual in Goloka Vrindavan. Anubhav's ecstasies that the friends of Krishna experiences. Here's a beautiful picture. We see how Krishna is throwing some water, using his bugles, throwing some water on his friends. They're playing, they're sporting in the Yamuna. Srila Rupa Goswami mentions various expressions of fraternal devotion. Krishna played with his intimate friends, sometimes by fighting or wrestling with their arms, sometimes by playing ball, sometimes by playing chess, sometimes they carried one another on their shoulders, and sometimes they exhibited their expertness at whirling log sticks by joking together and by swimming in the pool. All these activities are called Anubhav. Whenever all the friends would assemble in the company of Krishna, they would immediately engage in all these functions and especially in dancing together. Example of wrestling. My dear friends, O killer of Aga demon, you are very proudly wandering among your friends, trying to exhibit your arms as very strong. Is it that you are envious of me? I know that you cannot defeat me in wrestling. And I also know that you are sitting idly for a long time because you are hopeless of defeating me. And so different types of friends have different types of anubhav. So here we see one friend is challenging Krishna. That you sitting quietly, I know why, because you hopeless, I know you, I can defeat you, and you don't want to fight me. So in this way, they would discuss with Krishna like this. They would challenge Krishna. Sometimes the coward friends would challenge each other. They would challenge each other against Krishna, etc. in different ways. Just like boys in this material world, they tease each other, they fight. In the spiritual world, the gopas with Krishna, they do exactly the same. And this is God. This is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. We mentioned previously how people in this material world have no clue of Krishna. They have no clue of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. For them, they have God that's there, who's old, nobody has any relationship with him. They think he's an old man with long beard, has lost control of the planet. But no, Krishna is Nava Yovana. He's eternally youthful. He's having these wonderful relationships with his friends, with the Gopas, with the elderly gopis, in so many ways, with the cows. There is so much dynamic love and exchanges in the spiritual world. Anubhavs of Pura Vayayas. All the friends were very daring and would risk any difficulty because they were confident that Krishna would help them to be victorious in all adventures. Now we know, just like in the material world, children are very confident in front of their parents, especially in front of their father. They know that their father will always protect them. So when they're walking, they have no fear because they have firm faith that the father, they have confidence and faith in the father. Similarly, we find that these friends, they're confident. It's like Krishna is our main friend. If we in danger, we know Krishna will help us. Krishna will take us out of the situation. Now, they don't consider Krishna to be God, but even in the material world, amongst friends, there are those friends, who have strength, who are powerful. And when a group of friends are in danger, then that friend will always come forward to protect. So similarly, in the spiritual world also, they have firm faith and confidence in Krishna. Then Anubhavs of the Surits, the older friends. Krishna's older friends express their devotion by instructing Krishna on what is to be done and what is not to be done. They used to sit together and advise one another what to do, sometimes inducing one another to be engaged in welfare work. The phrase inducing one another to engage in welfare work means that they advise Krishna to engage in auspicious activities. So the older friends, they would give advice. And we find the same similar thing in the material world. If we have friends, we know that one, let's say a specific friend, may be more wise. He's the one that's always giving advice. Just like I remember when I was in school, then we had one of our friends who was, a friend of, was a son of a multimillionaire. So he was always very generous. And he was known as the generous person. So like that, somebody is very strong, somebody is very generous, somebody is very senior, instructive. So in this way, the friends would take advice from those who are very learned. They would have confidence and get strength from those who are strong, and in this way, their bond would actually strengthen. Anubhavs of the Sakhas, the younger friends, sometimes they would offer betel nuts to one another, decorate one another's faces with tilak, and smear pulp of chandan on one another's body. Sometimes, for the sake of amusement, they used to decorate their faces in strange ways. So, like children playing, decorating, they would do the same thing with Krishna. Decorate Krishna, decorate each other in different ways. Absolutely no awe and reverence in relation to Krishna. Krishna is simply our friend, and they would be very jolly and do friend activities. Anubhavs or Priya Sakas, the peers, another business of the friends was that each of them wanted to defeat Krishna. Sometimes they used to snatch his clothing or snatch away the flowers from his hands. Sometimes one would try to induce another to decorate his body for him, and failing this, they would always they were always ready to fight, challenging one another to combat in wrestling. Then the Anubhavs of Priya Narma Sakas, the confidential friends, they served as messengers to and from the gopis. They introduced the gopis to Krishna and canvassed for Krishna. When the gopis were in disagreement with Krishna, these friends would support Krishna's side in his presence. But when Krishna was not present, they would support the side of the gopis. In other words, they engage in highly diplomatic behavior to reconcile Krishna and the gopis. In this way, sometimes supporting one side, sometimes the other, they would talk very privately with much whispering in the ears, although none of the business was very serious. So in this way, the elder, more confidential friends, they would be part of Krishna's Leela with the gopis as messengers. When Krishna would be wrestling, then they would encourage Krishna, and the coward girls would encourage Radharani when Radharani and Krishna one time had a wrestling match. So in this way, they would encourage. They would be messengers. They would send messengers across. So in this way, there's the confidential friends would partake in Krishna's more confidential services or confidential relationships with the gopis. Sadharma, common anubhavs of Sakyaras, described thus far are the anubhavs highly specific to each type of friend. Okay. Now, in this section, Srila Rupa Goswami discusses the anubhavs that are common to all the friends. The servants of Krishna were sometimes engaged in collecting flowers, decorating his body with valuable ornaments and trinkets, dancing before him, singing, helping him herd the cows, massaging his body, preparing flowers, garlands, and sometimes fanning his body. Now we find that it's, these descriptions are so detailed that it's very clear in terms of what Krishna's friends are doing in relation to Krishna. And this is the path of Raganuga Bhakti, that when we overcome anartha nivritti, when we go beyond anartha nivritti and we start to develop our pure love for Krishna, then our eternal relationship will be revived. And let's say our relationship is to be a friend of Krishna. Then we will follow one of the sakhas of Krishna, and whatever that sakha is doing in relation to Krishna, that becomes very prominent. For example, let's say our friend that we're following, he likes to massage Krishna. So then we also will meditate on that, contemplate on it, and also have the opportunity to follow that friend, servant, and massage Krishna. So in this way, very, very clear details of all the different associates of Krishna are given in Nectar devotion. It's like getting a glimpse into the spiritual world. If someone says, what are the activities of the spiritual world? We can very confidently give them a very clear description of what happens in the spiritual world. And just like Brahma Samhita says, every day is a festival. Every day there are loving exchanges in the spiritual world. So Sattvika Bhavas, all 8 Sattvika Bhavas are appropriate to Sakya Bhav, Stamba, stunned. So now Rupa Goswami will give us an example of each of the 8 Astika Bhavas, ecstatic symptoms that are friends of Krishna experiences. When Krishna came out of the Yamuna after chastising the Kalya Nag, Sridham wanted to embrace him first, but he could not raise his arms because of his great feeling of respect. When Sridham saw Krishna entangled in the Kalya serpent, his mind became stunned. And when Krishna came out victorious from the lake, he could not raise his still stunned arms to embrace Krishna. Then sweat of perspiration. When Krishna's flute roared like a thundercloud under the Swati constellation, the resulting perspiration on Sridham's body appeared to be just like pearls. In the purport, Srila Prabhupada gives a little more description of Krishna playing his flute during the Swati constellation. And it talks about how the rain that falls during this constellation, if it falls in the ocean, on the oyster, pearls are formed. If it falls on a snake, the snake develops a jewel. So in this way, different auspicious symptoms are experienced when it rains on the Swati constellation. Romanchas, standing of hairs. In the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, the quotation about Subal embracing Krishna illustrates Romancha. When Subal embraced Sri Krishna, the hairs on his body were standing in ecstasy. In Nectar Devotion, Srila Prabhupada uses the same quotation to highlight the sentiments of Srimati Radhavani. Then the 4 Sattvika Bhavas. The following quotation exemplifies 4 other Sattvika Bhavas in fraternal ecstasy: Swara Beda, faltering or distortion of voice; Vaivarnya, changing bodily colors; Pralaya, loss of consciousness; and Kampa, trembling. When Krishna entered the lake of Kalya, his intimate friends became so perturbed that their bodily colors faded, Vaivarnya, and they all produce horrible gurgling sounds, Swara Beda. At that time, all of them fell on the ground as if unconscious, Pralaya. Bhakti-Rasamrita Sindhu mentions that they were also trembling, Kampa. So all of Krishna's pastimes, we know Krishna, he is performing these pastimes on different levels. So for example, Kalya, or the different, the Tvanarjuna trees, the demons. On one level, we find Kamsa is trying to kill Krishna, so he's sending all the different demons. On another level, Krishna is using those same activities that Kamsa is engaging in, sending demons. Krishna is using that as a sporting ground, as sport to fight, kill the demons, because Krishna can kill the demons, with practically no effort. But it's really sporting activities for Krishna and giving pleasure to the coward boys, the friends. And then, for example, Krishna uses Kalya to increase the love of his devotees, all the residents. And then he uses Kalya as a rasa mandala, as a platform for dancing. So in this way, Krishna performs different pastimes, and it's explained the demons in the material world are there, but in the spiritual world, the demons are not there. They are rumors of demons. So the coward friends, they would daily discuss, Krishna's pastimes. They would glorify Krishna, and then there would be rumors of demons in the spiritual, in Goloka Vrindavan, that would become a time breaker for lunch or for dinner, etc. Ashru, tears. Similarly, when there was a forest fire, all of Krishna's friends neglected their own protection and surrounded Krishna on all sides to protect him from the flames. Bhakti-Rasamrita Sindhu describes the flood of tears were pouring from the eyes of these boys as they lovingly protected their friend Krishna. So just see, such a wonderful this example and exhibition of love. They all love Krishna more than their life. And when they all were surrounded by the forest fire, they all readily were happy to give up their life by surrounding Krishna, protecting Krishna, and giving their life in protecting Krishna. And naturally, Krishna, he reciprocated with this. Because they loved Krishna more than themselves, they were happy to sacrifice their life for Krishna. But Krishna also loves his friends more than his life. And because Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, then Krishna naturally would protect them from the forest fire. Vyabhichari Bhavs. In Vyabhichari ecstatic love for Krishna, there is sometimes madness, dexterity, fear, laziness, jubilation, pride, dizziness, meditation, disease, forgetfulness, and humbleness. This is a partial list of Vyabhichari Bhavs that manifest in Sakyava. Srila Prabhupada says these are some of the common symptoms in the stage of Vyabhichari ecstatic love for Krishna. The stages of prema in friendship. So Sakyarati can heighten to pranaya, attraction, prema, affection, sneha, affinity, and rag, attachment. Srila Prabhupada explains that when one is situated in confidential friend relationship with Krishna, one shows symptoms of love such as attraction, pranaya, affection, prema, affinity, sneha, and attachment, raga. So there's different levels of love that is manifested by the different friends of Krishna. And here we see a beautiful picture of Krishna with his coward friends. enjoying lunch in the forest of Vrindavan. It is described that one time they asked Srila Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada, do you have any anxiety? And Srila Prabhupada said no. But then he paused a while and then he said yes. What is in Krishna's lunchbox? That's the anxiety. Why? It's like Prabhupada's anxious. And not only is Prabhupada anxious, but even Krishna himself is anxious to know what is in his lunchbox. Srimati Radharani would pack lunch for Krishna. She would cook breakfast and she would cook lunch for Krishna and she would pack. And it's described that Srimati Radharani is expert in all the arts, but of all the arts, she's most expert in two arts, in dancing and in cooking. And Srila Prabhupada says, just consider her cooking. Srimati Radharani has been cooking for Krishna since time immemorial. And she has never repeated a prep ever. So Krishna, he never gets the same prep from Srimati Radharani. Every single prep that she cooks for Krishna is new, Navayovana, eternally new. So for Krishna, it's totally exciting. And he cannot guess what's in his lunchbox because he never had it. It's totally new. So from a material perspective, it's inconceivable, achintya, that how can someone cook for eternity and never cook the same prep again? This is the spiritual world. So no doubt every day is an excitement. Just when they're having lunch, they're excited because they also want, cowed friends also want to know what's in Krishna's lunchbox. And Krishna would open his lunchbox. He would be excited. He can take something from his lunchbox and feed some of the gopas. The gopas will say, "Oh, Krishna, just see what my mother, gave me," and they'll put it in Krishna's mouth. In this way, they would share, they would exchange, and they would have a picnic in the forest. Wonderful. Sakyarati Pranaya. Devotees have full knowledge of the Lord's supremacy, but when their affection is extremely intense, it outshines this knowledge and causes them to relate with Krishna purely on friendly terms, free from formalities of respect. This is the characteristic of pranaya. Srila Prabhupada explains when there's full knowledge of Krishna's supremacy and yet in dealings with him on friendly terms, respectfulness is completely absent. At that stage is called affection. An example, there is one brilliant example of this affection when the demigods headed by Lord Shiva were offering respectful prayers to Krishna, describing the glorious opulences of the Lord. Arjuna, the coward boy, this is not Arjuna on the battlefield, stood before him with hands on his shoulders and brushed the dust from his peacock feather. This wonderfully illustrates the quality of pranaya, an unchecked predominance of pure love devoid of formality. So here the demigods are offering respect, offering prayers, while Arjuna, coward friend, he's got his hand on Krishna's shoulders and is dusting the feather, the dust from Krishna's peacock feather. So for him, like we know even in Govardhan Leela, the awe and reverence is not there. When the demigods came to honor Krishna and offer him arti with their huge paraphernalia, for the coward boys, this is excitement. This is like, wow, this is interesting. Look at these people, what they're doing to our friend. So in this way, for them, this is childlike activities because they don't consider Krishna to be the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Their love is so great that it overpowers the knowledge of Krishna's supremacy. So for them, Krishna is simply their friend, and they will reciprocate and exchange with Krishna in every way as Krishna is my friend. And even if there is some conviction in Vrindavan that, oh, Krishna is is God, then the cowherd boys, they will think, oh, how wonderful, our friend Krishna is God. See, they will not say, oh, God is our friend. No, they'll say, oh, wonderful, our friend Krishna, he is God. So they consider the friend, the relationship of being Krishna's friend and Krishna being their friend to be superior to Krishna being God. Him being God is just by the way. Okay, that's one of his activities. But yes, he's our friend. Sakyarati at Prem, the Pandavas illustrated the level of Prem, unchanging, never diminishing love in friendship. Despite all the troubles Krishna put them through, their friendly love for him never even slightly diminished. So, this is a wonderful example of prema, love, that is so strong. When we love Krishna, we may experience great trouble, but our love should never diminish. We should never blame Krishna, and we should have firm faith in Krishna's protection. Krishna knows our life, he knows our past, present, and future, and he knows exactly what we need for us to perfect our relationship with him. So we should trust in him, and we should never allow our love to diminish. Our love for Krishna, our relationship for Krishna, our remembrance of Krishna should increase more and more. During the Radhastami class, I mentioned this point, beautiful point, that even Srimati Radhavani was put through so much difficulty by by Abhimanyu, by Jotila, by Kotila, where she's living with them, and they putting so many obstacles stopping her from meeting Krishna. So her life every day is surrounded by obstacles. Yet her love for Krishna, her remembrance of Krishna never waned an inch. It's described that she never got upset or revengeful with anyone that put obstacles, because she did not want her thoughts to be distracted to the people that put obstacles in her way. And therefore, even though the obstacles were there, she wanted to keep her focus, her attention, her mind, her thoughts on Krishna always, even amidst the obstacles. So the Pandavas, in the same way, whenever the obstacles were there, they never waned in their love for Krishna. In fact, they always remembered Krishna and were anxiously awaiting Krishna's presence to serve him and to seek his protection. Then Sakyarati, Sneha, at Sneha level, in Sneha one's heart melts and he cannot withstand a moment of separation. This example illustrates the first quality. In the pasturing grounds, Krishna felt a little tired and wanted to take rest. So he lay down on the ground. At that time, many cowherd boys assembled there and with great affection began to sing suitable songs so that Krishna would rest very nicely. Very wonderful. So they would take an opportunity to serve Krishna. Krishna is tired. Oh, let us sing for Krishna. Let us fan Krishna. Let us massage Krishna. In this way, they would relieve Krishna of his exhaustion. This is the friendly relationship. And here we find another beautiful picture of Krishna drinking the crystal water from Yamuna. We see how the calves there, that wonderful calf is getting the chance of drinking, licking Krishna's Chanamrita right from his hands. The other cowherd boys are there. So it's so wonderful. The spiritual world, bright, beautiful, colorful, a variety of different associates, and simply filled with love. This is what Vrindavan means, dynamic love, a love that's ever increasing, moving in different ways. And this is where we should eternally desire, or desire to be eternally there in the spiritual world, serving Krishna and pleasing Krishna. Sakyarati at Rag. In Rag, Krishna's association transforms distress into happiness. Arjuna, pierced with showers of arrows during the Kurukshetra war exemplifies this. At that time, although Arjuna was being harmed by those arrows, he felt an ecstatic love for Krishna, and the arrows appeared to him like showering of flowers. In fact, here it's described that Abhimanyu, yeah, um, Dronacharya's son. No, is it? Yes, Dronacharya's. Yes, Dronacharya's son. He came one time on the battlefield and started shooting Krishna. Now, Krishna is the chariot of Arjuna. So, according to the war rules, you cannot attack the charioteer. But Ashwatthama came and he started shooting arrows at Krishna. So when Arjuna saw this, immediately he got off the chariot to protect Krishna. And what he did was he came in front of Krishna to shield Krishna. And the arrows that Ashwatthama was shooting, that he shot, were shot now to Arjuna. Arjuna was blocking those arrows and it pierced Arjuna. So Arjuna, because of his love and love for Krishna, he protected Krishna, and the arrows that were shot to Arjuna felt like showers of flowers. A second example of Sakyaras at the level of rag. Once, when a coward boy named Vrishaba was collecting flowers from the forest to prepare garland to be offered to Krishna, the sun reached its zenith. And although the sunshine was scorching hot, Vrishaba felt it to be like moonshine. And Srila Prabhupada adds that that is the way of rendering transcendental service to the Lord. When the devotees are put into great difficulties, like the Pandavas as described above, they feel all their miserable conditions to be great facilities for serving the Lord. So this is the mindset, this is the lesson we have to learn, that in all our difficulties, we should simply use the difficulties to strengthen our service, our relationship with Krishna. Meeting and separation. Sakyaras in separation, a yoga, utkantitva, longing. Narad told Krishna, when Arjuna was learning the art of shooting arrows, he could not see you for so many days. But when you arrived there, he stopped all his activities immediately embraced you. Young Arjuna was longing to meet Krishna for the first time, consequently exemplifies fraternal devotion in Utkantitva. So Arjuna was developing more and more eagerness to meet Krishna, to embrace Krishna. So as after many days of learning in the Gurukul, when Krishna actually came, then Arjuna could not, let's say, hold himself, but immediately went to Krishna and embraced him. This eagerness, longing. Then absence, viyoga. Patri addressed Krishna thus, my dear Lord, you protected the coward boys from the hunger of the Agasura demon, and you protected them from the poisonous effects of the Kalya snake, and you also saved them from the fierce forest fire. But I am suffering from your separation, which is more severe than the hunger of Agasura, the poison of the lake Kalya, and the burning of the forest fire. So why should you not protect me from the fangs of separation? And then the 10 emotions of Viyoga. Srila Rupa Goswami illustrates the Vyabhichari bhavs, ecstatic symptoms, that are appropriate for Sakyaras in Viyoga. Tapa, fever or heat. Another friend once told Krishna, my dear enemy Kamsa, enemy of Kamsa, since you have left us, the heat of separation has become extraordinary. And this heat is felt more severely when we understand that in Bandiravan, you are being refreshed by the waves of cooling river known as Banu Tanaya, Radharani. The purport is that when Krishna was engaged with Radharani, the coward boys headed by Subal were feeling great separation, and that was unbearable for them. Then Krishata, emanciation, withering of limbs. My dear Krishna, killer of Aghasura, when you left Vrindavan to kill Kamsa in Mathura, all the coward boys became bereft of their four bhutas, the element earth, water, fire, and space. And the fifth bhuta, the air, was flowing very rapidly within their nostrils. So when Krishna left for Mathura, naturally even the coward boys felt great separation and were on the verge of death. Jagarana, sleeplessness. When one of your friends was feeling such separation from you, there were tears covering his lotus eyes, and so the black drones of sleep became discouraged from entering his entering his eyes, and left that place. Bumblebees collect honey from the lotus flower, but if the flowers are filled with water like the bees cannot do their work. The lotus eyes of Krishna's friends became filled with tears, and thus the bumblebees of sleep could not do their work. The boys remained sleepless, crying in separation from their dear Krishna. Alamba, Sunayata, helplessness, unable to find shelter. Due to Krishna's departure from Vrindavan to Mathura, Krishna's dearest coward boys felt as mentally light as possible. They were like fragments of cotton, lighter than the air, and were all floating in air without any shelter. Adriti, non-attachment. Out of sorrow of separation, all these boys forgot to take care of their cowarding and tried to forget all the melodious songs they used to sing in pasturing grounds. At last, they had no desire to live anymore, being separated from Krishna. In the absence of Krishna, the boys had no attachment to cowherding, to the songs they previously sung, and not even to life itself. So here we find Krishna really pulling the strings of love in separation, performing the pastime of leaving Vrindavan, and the coward friends were submersed in an ocean of separation. Jadata, inertness. When Krishna left Vrindavan for Mathura, all the coward boys became inert and still, like leafless trees on the top of hills. Vyadi, disease. Sometimes they felt diseased from their separation from Krishna, and being so greatly disappointed, they were aimlessly wandering on the banks of Yamuna. Unmada, madness. When Krishna was absent from Vrindavan, all the coward boys became bewildered. They appeared to be mad and forgot all their regular business. Murchita, unconsciousness. My dear Lord, you have become the king of Mathura after killing Kamsa, and that is very good news for us. But at Vrindavan, all the residents have become blind from their continuous crying over your absence. Becoming blind refers to losing their consciousness. Mritya, death. My dear enemy of Kamsa, because of their separation from you, the coward boys are suffering too much, and they are now lying down in the valleys, breathing only lightly. Krishna's friends are never separated from him. In Mathura Kanda chapter of the Skanda Purana, there is a description of Krishna and Balaram surrounded by all the coward boys, always engaging in taking care of the cows and calves. Jiva Goswami explains Skanda Purana uses the word sada, all ending. Krishna is always in Vrindavan, tending the cows with his friends. In the eternal spiritual world, Krishna and his friends are never significantly separated, although the experience of such emotions certainly exists in a subjective sense. Generally, the coward boys experience physical separation only in Gokul Vrindavan. Vrindavan manifests on the earth. Okay, so the separation that we just described now, and the different ecstatics or different symptoms that they felt, is only experienced in Bhoma Vrindavan, because in Bhoma Vrindavan, Krishna leaves to Mathura. But in Goloka Vrindavan, in the spiritual world, there Krishna never leaves. Krishna is always eternally there in the spiritual world. So there always Krishna is with his Sakha friends. And the only separation is when Krishna returns back in the evening. He'll meet the gopis and be separated from the coward boys. Then in the morning, he'll leave the gopis and be with the coward boys. So in this way, there is separation and meeting, separation and meeting. But in Bhoma Vrindavan, it is a little more intense. Sakyarasi, meeting, yoga, siddhi, perfection. When Krishna was met by Arjuna at a potter's shop in the city of Drupada Nagar, Because of the similarities of their bodily features, they made intimate friendships. This was the first time that Arjuna ever saw Krishna. Thus, it exemplifies perfection or siddhi. Tushti, satisfaction. Tushti occurs when the devotees meet Krishna after long absence. Bhima meeting Krishna in Indraprastha, described in Srimad Bhagavatam 10:71-27, and the cowherd boys meeting Krishna again at Kurukshetra, examples of Tushti. So after long separation, when they meet Krishna, they are feeling satisfaction. And then sthiti, steady association. Sthiti is a type of meeting not predicted by any separation. Srimad Bhagavatam 10:12 illustrate this. The cowherd boys are superior even to great yogis, and the yogis are unable to see so much as the dust of Krishna's lotus feet, even after arduous struggle. Yet the cowherd boys, on the other hand, perform no penance whatsoever, yet constantly see the beautiful Lord face to face. This constant vision of Krishna is an example of steady association of seeing Krishna's face in front of him. Speciality of fraternal devotion. Sakhya Ras has a special sweetness not found in Dasya or Vatsalya. In Dasya, the devotees loves the Lord as his master, and the Lord loves the devotee as his servant. In Vatsalya, the devotees loves the Lord as his son, and the Lord loves the devotee as his parent. In Sakhya, however, the feelings of Krishna and the devotee are exactly mutual. The devotees love the Lord as his friend, and the Lord loves the devotee as his friend. Fraternal love and conjugal love are the only relationship in which the Lord and the devotees feel exactly the same towards each other. Therefore, Srila Prabhupada states that friendly relationship of the cowherd boys with Krishna in a particular type of spiritual ecstasy, almost similar to the ecstasy of conjugal love. Thus, there is a special type of sweetness nourished by fraternal devotion. Great expert devotees like Rupa Goswami express their astonishment at the inconceivable feelings which are in Krishna and his cowherd boyfriends. And that brings us to the end of this wonderful, beautiful chapter describing so many exchanges with Krishna and his friends. It is described in the spiritual world, Krishna is a cowherd boy. And as a cowherd boy, he is herding cows with his cowherd friends. And they are eternally enjoying this wonderful ras of Sakhya, a friend relationship that they have with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And who can be the best friend to anyone that desires that relationship? None other than Sham Sundar Krishna. He is the best friend. He will please his cowherd friends in the best possible way. And Krishna knows all his cowherd friends. They have a very, very personal relationship. And in this way, in the spiritual world, Srila Rupa Goswami has beautifully described Krishna's wonderful relationships with his cowherd friends. Thank you very much. Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. If anyone has any questions, you can type in the chat. All right.